Another year has come and gone, and it's once again time to reminisce on all games played this past year, and see if I can narrow it down to my top 10 favorites. Realistically, I probably played 40 to 50 games fairly in depth, and reached the end credits of almost 30 of them, where applicable. There was a surprising amount of good stuff this year from all pockets of gaming, but it's safe to say indies definitely dominated my playtime. Now, I tried my absolute hardest to keep this list strictly for games released in 2024, but please forgive me if I meander a bit. This is, after all, mostly based on games I've beaten for the first time this year. So, without too much further ado, here is my top 10 favorite games of 2024. Before I start at number 10, I have to give some honorable mentions first. There's quite a few games that didn't make the top 10 cut due to space, and I simply can't help but give them some attention anyway. For starters, I completed Night in the Woods for the first time this year, and it was one of the best indies I've ever played. It won't hit the same for everybody, but it was a somewhat bleak yet earnest look at some of early adulthood's greatest struggles. Belatro has gotten plenty of attention and needs none from me, but it's impressive how much I've enjoyed playing this game. I haven't touched a mobile game in almost a decade, and yes, I only own this on my phone. And it's still great! Paper Mario and the Thousand Year Door was one of the best remakes I've ever played, and I was surprised how much this game held up to my nostalgic faded memory. It could have used more modern tweaking, but I respect its dedication to the original. Super Mario Party Jamboree is a true return to form. I mean, it's even better than Superstars, and I know this for sure because I've yet to win a single game against my own children. The odds have never been less in your favor, and I love that. And finally, Europa, an absolutely gorgeous indie with smooth, floaty controls and a beautiful story that is unfortunately ultimately held down by its distracting, blatant inspirations from Journey and other games in that same vein. Now, on to the best of 2024.
Once upon a time, there was a Plucky Squire named Jot.
Number 10, the Plucky Squire. This was one of my most anticipated indies of the year, and thankfully it did not disappoint. While the first half of the game was a bit too explanatory and the narrative interrupts you a lot throughout, there was a lot of greatness captured in this multi-genre adventure. There was creativity literally bursting out of every page along the way, with ingenious puzzles that I wish tried harder to challenge me. At least there is an update on the way that will offer an option for a less assisted experience, which is nice, even if those of us who have finished already know the game's tricks anyways. Any worry I had about this game was washed away in its final acts, which were phenomenal. Highly recommend. Number 9, Hatch Tales. This is another great indie that adds slick, hookshot platforming to the already familiar world of side-scrolling adventures. Not only does the hookshot make for great maneuvering through each level, but you can also smack enemies with this trusty weapon, and then peck them off with your beak to finish them. This combination of attacks makes for interesting encounters along your puzzling routes. And oh boy, you'd best be prepared for puzzles because this is much more a collectathon puzzler than it is an action side-scroller. And man, is there a lot of content to unlock. Number 8, Little Kitty, Big City. Ever since Stray, we knew the cat genre was going to take off, but I didn't expect something so great so soon. Playing as a cat is as fun and adventurous as ever, but the quaint city with its goofy inhabitants and varied to-do lists are what really make this adventure. There's no deep narrative or hero's journey to be found here, but there is a lot of fun to be discovered while roaming through the otherwise mundane. Number 7, Penny's Big Breakaway. Until Sonic Shadow Generations hit the market, it seemed pretty clear this was the best 3D Sonic game to date. And it's not even a Sonic game. At first, the controls were somewhat off-putting, and I almost put it down completely. But once I learned to play how the game wanted me to play, and stopped playing how most platformers had trained me to, everything just clicked, and I could go back and replay it again, and again, and again, striving for that perfect run in every level. Number 6, Emio the Smiling Man. I can't lie, I haven't even rolled credits on this yet, but the depth in the interactions and tension creeping into every scene make this a standout experience. I do love a good mystery, and I love even more how much this one has me on my toes, It's a style of game I don't often care for, or at least thought I didn't, but this is undoubtedly one of the best Nintendo games released this year, and deserves a spot in the top 10. Number 5. Super Monkey Ball Banana Rumble. This series is so back, and not just in true form, but arguably better than ever. It's got challenging, inventive levels, a fun story mode, multiplayer with the option to turn collision on or off, minigames, online modes, a first-person view option now, and even the silliest of characters to choose from if your wallet can't resist the urge. It's one of the most fun games of the year, and it has so much longevity to offer. Number 4. The Legend of Zelda: Echoes of Wisdom. It's so great to have 2D Zelda back, and even better that it's a brand new adventure with new locales to explore, and of course, you play as Zelda. No, I am still not quite over that yet. Its creative use of passive action made for a unique, impressive experience that, even with its faults, such as its simplistic UI choices and a large pool of otherwise unnecessary echoes, it still rises above so many other adventure games that refuse to take risks like this game has. It's not perfect or the best Zelda game, but it still made my top 5 with no problem. I'm in love with the hidden locations and hidden bosses that it had to offer. Number 3. Pikmin 4. No, this game did not release in 2024, but I didn't get around to finishing it until this year, and it is seriously, in my opinion, the most realized game of this generation. It's designed in a way where you don't necessarily feel the need to 100% it, but you can't help but want to. It flows so smoothly. The narrative is a brilliant retelling of Pikmin 1 through 3 with new twists and more fulfilling cohesion, making it a great entry point for newcomers to the series as well. Plus, it plays so much more user-friendly than any of its predecessors. All the series needs now is co-op, because otherwise, Pikmin 4 is damn near perfect. Number 2. Astro Bot. A game that needs a little praise from me that you can't find somewhere else in the ether. If you break this game down to its bits and bobs, the inspirations can clearly be traced back to countless other 3D platformers, especially Super Mario. But the way Asobi made all these cogs work together in this new unique adventure full of its own personality and charm is genuinely impressive and worth celebrating. This game has no glitches or bugs, it plays smooth as butter, and it's fun the entire time. On top of that, it celebrates most of what makes PlayStation without feeling like a giant commercial. I mean, the dozens of characters to rescue never feel like a gimmick trying to sell the adventure, but more like cherries on top of an already delicious technical sundae. It is no wonder this game took home so many awards this year, because it is an absolute must-play experience. Number 1. Lorelei and the Laser Eyes. This game has made me sigh, made me laugh, made me angry, made me feel smart, made me feel dumb, made me feel lost, feel scared, feel curious. This game has tapped into so many of my emotions, and the simplest way to describe it is it's like one big trippy escape room. Like, that's really it. Yet it's got its hooks in me like nothing else has this year. The story is certainly hard to follow, especially at first, but figuring out a clue you've been stuck on for hours is immensely satisfying and keeps reminding you, yes, I can do this. It's insane how posters on the wall, cards on the table, they all mean nothing until suddenly they do. And before you know it, you've unlocked another room with more secrets to uncover and maybe even a dead body to make sense of. Like, I'm in awe of this game, and it's an experience I can't help but recommend, but just know it might cost you your patience and maybe your sanity. But that's also partially why Lorelei and the Laser Eyes is my favorite game of 2024. There are so many other games I've played that I would love to gush over, and even more games I've yet to beat that you can expect to see in some future videos. Thank you so much for joining me in my 2024 recap, and if you've got time, you should poke around the rest of our channel and definitely check out these games that I recommended here today. Otherwise, what were your favorite games of 2024? Let us know below. I can always use more recommendations.